Welcome, Mark, Steve, and John. Thank you for meeting up with 61 Financial Investors today. As we know, Auric Mining was successfully listed early this year and just announced another acquisition gold rights announcement this morning. Could you please give us an introduction of Auric Mining and more details regarding to the new acquisition this morning, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. My name's Mark English. I'm the Managing Director of Auric Mining. And together with me today is Steve Morris, our Non-Executive Chairman, and John Utley, our Chief Geologist. As Stephanie said, we listed on the stock exchange on the 12th of February this year. We started with a small group of projects, the principal one being the Munda project. Today we announced the acquisition of 21 additional tenements for gold rights only in the same area at Widgie-Maltha. The principal tenements that we have acquired surround the Munda gold project, and we are very excited to have acquired these projects at a fantastic price in a terrific location that adjoins our Munda project. So this is our disclaimer and compliance statement that's required for us to put out on any presentation. I'd like to just say, Stephanie, that this acquisition we believe is very strategic. It's going to be a game changer for the company, and it's going to transform us into a substantial gold mining player in the Widgie-Maltha region. So on the screen is a map of the area. Our tenements, our existing tenements are coloured blue, and you can see the gold mines highlighted with yellow with the double crosses on them. So you can see the tenements that we have acquired are all coloured pink, or they are outlined in pink with no colour. The ones with no colour are applications, so they still have a process. The ones that are coloured pink are granted mining licences, exploration licences, or prospecting licences. Currently on that map, the Munda project, which is coloured blue, about a bit below halfway down the map, it has a gold resource of around 174,000 ounces. We believe that the acquisition of these tenements will enable us to quickly grow and expand on that gold resource. I will now pass over to John Utley, and John can talk you through a bit more about the map and acquisition. Thank you, John.
Yeah, thanks, Mark and Steph. The tenements that you can see that we're in the process of acquiring are in really an important area in terms of both nickel and gold. The dome you can see, the sort of the ellipse towards the bottom of the screen with Widgie-Maltha at the top of it, that's called the Widgie-Maltha dome. Geologically, we think that's a very important setting. It certainly is for nickel, and we think also for gold. There's a number of gold projects in the area, and in fact, the Kambalda area is the St. Ives area off to the northeast is one of the best producing gold areas in Australia. In the Widgie-Maltha area, there's a known resources that Mincor, another company, own, and they've got resources in there within a couple of kilometres of our Munda project. We've had a look at the databases with the nickel explorers have got, and we can see a lot of gold in amongst the nickel that hasn't been previously explored from a gold perspective. Some of the potential in the area is sort of amplified by the success of companies like Anglo-Australian to the north of us. Now, this next slide is focused on Munda, our key project in the middle of these new tenements. We completed a drilling program at Munda in early March. We started that program the day after we listed, and we completed in early March. We've been announcing the results as they've come in, and we've got some quite spectacular results amongst those. Some of those are highlighted on that picture. That's the holes marked in red are all the new holes. And what we've demonstrated with this drill program is that we are going to be able to expand the resources at Munda. We're going to be able to expand beyond the 170,000 ounces that we have at present in resources. The holes were mostly drilled around the edges of the resources, expanding them in different directions. We've also had an intercept in one of the holes there, AMRC20, 19 metres at 0.7 grams. But what's interesting about that is it seems to highlight a new zone that's not part of the current resource. So the resources at Munda are inferred resources. To lift them up into the next category, indicated resources, we need to do some more drilling to close some of the drill spacing. That includes some of the holes that we've recently completed before we provide a resource upgrade. So we think there's room to expand the resources. We've got work to do to lift those resources into the indicated category, at which stage you can start mine planning. And also we need to, we want to look closer around that area where AMRC20 has been drilled to see if we can open up a new zone there and substantially expand our resources. Thanks, Steph. I'll just highlight a couple of those holes, or at least one of them, AMRC12. There, for example, you can see we got 13 metres at 14.6 grams. That includes a metre at 137 grams. That's not part of the current resource. So that intercepts like that one are going to add to our current resources. So the process going forward for us is we'll close some of those drill spacings. For example, that hole 12 that I just mentioned, that drill spacing needs to be closed there before we can put it into a resource. And we'll progressively upgrade the inferred category resources to the indicated category. We'll be drill testing that new zone around AMRC20, and we'll continue to drill the deposit margin, seeing if we can expand it in a number of different directions.
So currently we have 89.6 million shares on issue. That gives us a market capitalisation of around 18 million. We have 5.2 million cash in the bank. So that gives us an enterprise value of $12.8 million, which is very cheap for a company that owns 220,000 ounces of gold. Our top 20 shareholders control 56% of the company. So we're very tightly held. Most of the large shareholders are in escrow, so they aren't tradable. Currently, we only have about 40 million tradable shares on the ASX market. I'll now pass over to Steve Morris. Steve is our non-executive chairman. Steve can tell you a little bit about the board and who we are. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you very much, Mark, and thank you for allowing us to present to you today. My background as chairman of Auric Mining, and the reasons I was attracted to the company really stem from my experience on the board of De Grey Mining, DEG, which started life as a company very, very similar to Auric, and now has a market capitalisation of some 1.6 billion Australian dollars. The things that attracted me to Auric were the fact that it has an exceptionally strong management team. The exploration ground, the mining ground, is in one of the best gold areas in the world, and it has established resources in the ground, similar to De Grey at the time. So the strategy that we applied at De Grey is pretty much exactly the same strategy that we're applying here at Auric. It's all about increasing the amount of resources that we have in the ground, increasing ounces. And that is by exploration, by putting money into the ground via the drill bit, and by acquisition. And that is acquiring ground that we know either has gold in it, or we are very, very confident that it has gold in it. That's what we did at De Grey. We did a lot of drilling and we did some acquisitions to allow us to have more ground, and that paid dividends. Here at Auric, we've done exactly what we said we were going to do when we listed, and that is that we have put money into exploration, which has significantly increased, we feel, our gold resource, and now we've acquired this ground from Neo Metals, which gives us the opportunity to repeat that on a lot bigger patch of ground. Small companies need to be very careful with their money. Small companies can't afford to waste very much money at all. So we'll be using our funds extremely responsibly, and every dollar that we use will have a single aim, and that is to increase our gold resource that we have in the ground, increase shareholder wealth, and take us from our current resource of 220,000 ounces as quickly as we can to 500,000 ounces and then beyond. So as chairman, I'm extremely happy with the progress that we've made before we listed and since listing. And I'm extremely confident that we'll be able to do exactly what we are hoping to do on behalf of US shareholders. Thank you.
We have pre-collected some questions. So regarding to the type of mineralization hosted by the Auric Mining as asset portfolio, what type of the mineralization it is? It's like a bulk tonnage, or is with like relatively low grade, or it's like high grade, but relatively small scale?
Yeah, thanks, Steph. I'll take that one. That's a good question. We're looking at a lower grade bulk tonnage. So that's got high grades distributed amongst lower grades. We're looking at a 0.5 gram cutoff for our resource estimates, which is why we quote our assays and all at 0.5 gram. So we see this as an open pitable deposit.
Thank you. The next question is, are there any other kind of strategic resources hosted in the asset portfolio? But you previously state that will be like only gold, but also found some nickel resources as well. Is any other more resources will be developed or will be explored in this area, or any further acquisition?
Our focus is gold. We have the gold rights in this latest acquisition. We don't have the nickel rights. Some of our land to the north has nickel rights on it, and there's potential nickel prospectivity there, but our focus is as a gold player. We didn't mention before, because it wasn't shown on the map, but to the southeast of that map that we were looking at is our Jeffreys Find deposit, which contains 40-odd thousand ounces in resources. The 220,000 ounces that Mark was talking about, that's contributed to by that Jeffreys Find deposit to the southeast, which is another open pitable deposit.
Thank you. The next question is, will there be more acquisition on the plan? Like when it will be, and how big they will be expected to expand?
Stephanie, I'll answer that. We're continuing to look. We will only buy assets if they really fit our strategic plan. We'll only buy assets in this geographical area, which is the Tier 1 gold area in WA. And we'll make sure that we will not overpay for any acquisition. We won't get carried away with having to buy things at any price. We'll be very diligent and careful with our acquisition expenditure.
Steph, if I could just jump in there too. I think that comes back to what I was saying about small companies needing to be very careful with their money. Anything that we do will be very, very well considered. And as Mark said, we'll be looking for the best value that we can everywhere.
Thank you. Next question is about, we have heard that as a result of these different kind of like a gold or other metals resource experience a serious delay due to COVID-19 because the laboratory may be shut down during the lockdowns, etc. How about impact to Auric Mining? Like, do these labs operations back to normal yet, or still have some delays, like some a lot of results pending to be released from the labs? So
West Australia's done really well for any of your listeners that are in West Australia. They'll back me on this, but West Australia's done really well during the pandemic. That said, it's probably done so well that the biggest issues are manpower or labour. So we did quite well out of the lab. All our results are back from the lab for that drill program that we completed. But we do know that lab turnaround times are of the order of 3 to 4 weeks, which is quite slow compared to normally 2 weeks when things are a lot quieter. So it's certainly impacted in that sense, but we don't see ourselves impacted in the sense that COVID stops us travelling, accessing our projects. The other thing that this area is infrastructure-wise, it's got access to the best infrastructure you can get in West Australia, because Kalgoorlie is only less than an hour's drive away.
Thank you. How long the current cash position can support the exploration? Will there be any capital raisings in this year, rest of this year, or is there any other funding resources?
Stephanie, I'll answer that. We currently have $5.2 million in the bank. That's enough cash for us to last at least 18 to 24 months. However, if we get good drill results, we will mostly want to complete a capital raising so that we can access the drilling quicker. So we can either do it over a longer period of time, Stephanie, or over a shorter period of time, subject to availability of drill rigs. One of the biggest issues for us will be the availability of the drilling contractors and the drilling companies. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. We don't need to raise cash, but we may like to raise cash subject to price so that we can drill out the tenements that we've just acquired quicker.
Thank you. Hi, Mark, John, and Steve. There's a question. They want to confirm that the acquisition about the new metals, the gold rights, it says like a nickel attached with that. So we'll just confirm that nickel still belong to new metals, or they will under consideration of Auric as well?
Stephanie, no, Neo Metals maintains all the nickel rights and the lithium rights. All we have done are bought the gold rights. Okay,
and the second question is, Stephen mentioned that the strategic plan is to increase the resources now like a 220 ounces, 1,000 ounces of the gold, and the next step ideally to increase it to 500,000. Is any is that like estimation, or have some records or have some evidence to prove that definitely can increase to that volume?
Stephanie, that really will come from further drilling in the area. So the drill program that we just finished, we drilled 27 holes and we picked up gold in 24 of the 27 holes. We haven't finished doing all the analytical work on those results yet, but we know that we will be able to increase the resource. By how much, we're not sure, but we know that we need to do more drilling to increase the resource.
Thank you. And the question is about the next drilling plan, when it will be commenced.
I'll answer that. We're probably several months away from doing that. Part of the reason for that is we know what sort of things we want to do at Munda, but we'd also like to be able to prioritise better with the money we've got, the drilling we want to do on the newly acquired ground. And I'll give you an example. E15-1583 that you can see there, there's a royalty on that, a gold royalty on that tenement. And the reason there's a gold royalty, a very small one, but the reason there is a gold royalty there is because there's a walk-up drill target there that we've got to assess. So it'll be a matter of prioritising where we put the drill rig. There's a number of targets.
That's all the questions we're seeing now. Probably no further questions. We will be recording this one and translate with the Chinese subtitles, send it out and see if more audience after watching the video have more questions. We probably gonna pass you later. Thank you very much for your time and presentation today, and hope we can see more exciting news and results coming from Auric Mining, and hopefully its potential can be seen by my investors, and we can see great growth soon, like DeGray done before.
Thank you. We'll be trying our best.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Thanks, Steph.
Thank you.
Thank you.